All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So around 15-20 minutes ago here, Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network reported that the Washington football team is expected to release quarterback Alex Smith. This is huge, okay, especially for us Jets fans out there, and we're going to get into that. But I do want to say one thing about Washington real quick before we move on. Washington has so many things figured out, right? They have the defense figured out. They have young playmakers on offense figured out. Terry McLaurin, Antonio Gibson. They have a solid offensive line. They could lose Brandon Scherff, but even if they do lose Scherff, it's not like this line is horrible. It's not a bottom five offensive line, okay? They have the coaching staff figured out. Ron Rivera is great. He's just what Washington needed last season. Jack Del Rio is doing his thing at the defensive coordinator position. They made it to the playoffs last year, and all I keep hearing is 7-9, worst division. That division sucks. NFC least, all that kind of stuff. But I really do feel like Washington, they're on the cusp of being, a double-digit win team, right? I could realistically see this team getting 10 wins next season. So in this division, this team is truly a quarterback away. I mean, just go back to last year. Not only did they just win 7 games, but they made the playoffs with Alex Smith, Dwayne Haskins, Kyle Allen, and Taylor Heineke, all right? So 4 quarterbacks last year, and they still managed to accomplish a lot. So we're looking right now to the future. Who are the options? Who are the current options for Washington right now? They're sitting at spot number 19 in the draft. They missed out on Matthew Stafford. They couldn't really spark up a deal with Carson Wentz. I mean, number one, were they even interested in Wentz? And then number two, the possibility of an in-division trade is so unlikely these days, especially with the franchise quarterback. It's almost like a guaranteed no. Who else? Jared Goff? No, he's off the board as well. He's in Detroit. Okay, so as we stand right now, who are the realistic options left for the Washington football team? Who are guys that they can try to acquire this offseason that could potentially be a franchise quarterback? The first one that pops into my mind, Deshaun Watson, clearly, okay? But there are some drawbacks. Number one, you're going to have to give up a ton to go get him. That's not Ron Rivera's style. He's never really liked to give up a ton of draft picks. We saw that with the Matthew Stafford trade. The main reason why that staff, trading Matthew Stafford to Washington didn't work out is because Washington reached a point where they said, you know what, this trade compensation, it's too much. We're backing out. We're not doing it. We've seen Dan Snyder give up a lot of picks for RG3, right? A quarterback specifically, but I feel like at this point, it's just too far gone. I don't feel like Washington wants to give up this huge haul and then take on this huge contract for Deshaun Watson. I feel like if that was the case, they would have been the front runner since the beginning. But it hasn't. It's been the Jets, it's been the Dolphins, it's been the Panthers. We've heard rumblings about the Broncos. Where's Washington in this? I mean, nothing's really changed. So I feel like if Washington was in the Watson sweepstakes, something would have materialized by now. Now, they could contact the Raiders for Marcus Mariota, but Mariota's, I think, owed $10 million for this season. His trade stock has completely plummeted because nobody wants to take on that contract with the cap dropping for this season. And we kind of know what Mariota is at this point in time. Does Washington want to do that? I could see it for sure. But I feel like there could be some better options out there. Maybe Teddy Bridgewater from Carolina. Say they land Watson. They have no need for Bridgewater. They could acquire a trade that way if he doesn't get dealt to Houston. But there's one player specifically that's on the market that we all know very well. It's Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold right now is the cheapest option out of all of those guys. If, let's just say, the Jets trade him to Washington, the football team will only have to pay Darnold around roughly $5 million for this season. And let's just say he does well. Now you have the 5th-year option for next year. That obviously goes up in price, but you have control at least over the next 2 seasons with Sam Darnold. Now, if he doesn't do well, all right, it was a 1-year, $5 million contract. It is what it is. We'll have the discussion next season. We'll decline the option and move forward. So right now, he's a lot cheaper, not only just from a contract perspective, but from what you would have to give up as far as trade compensation is concerned. So that's a plus. Number 2, he's the youngest option. He's younger than Mariota. He's younger than Teddy Bridgewater. He's younger than Derek Carr and Deshaun Watson and all these different guys. He's 23 right now. Will be 24 years old by the time the season rolls around. Okay, so with all those other guys, we already know who they are. We know Mariota at this point in his career. We know Bridgewater. Sam Darnold, we don't. He's had horrible coaching. He's had bad offensive lines and not that much talent around him. We do need to change the scenery, or I think Darnold needs to change the scenery as well as the Jets. But Sam Darnold is still that young quarterback with a high upside. He still has room to grow. So if Washington is sitting there at spot number 19 and is saying to themselves, you know what, Lawrence, Wilson, Field definitely won't be there. Trey Lance, probably not going to be there. Mac Jones, there's rumors of him going 8th overall to Carolina. Yeah, we're probably not going to be in the position to land him as well. So do we really want to risk this team next season with the 6th or 7th best quarterback in the draft? Or do we want to give up a 3rd round pick for Sam Darnold? Do we want to give up a 2nd and a 5th for Sam Darnold? Whatever the trade compensation will be, it's not going to be this 3 first round picks for Deshaun Watson, this huge haul that's going to set the franchise back for multiple years on end. It's not going to be the case. So Sam Darnold right now is the youngest option. He's the cheapest option, and he has the highest upside out of all of the guys available outside of Watson, of course, because we all know he's a superstar. 25, 26 years old, superstar, top 6 quarterback, we get it. But outside of him, Darnold's looking pretty good. And one more thing I do want to add in there quickly before I end the video here. If you're looking at Washington's offense last year, the 2020 football team offensive system, Darnold fits that system beautifully. Short passing, checkdowns, slants, screens, crossing patterns, it's just a short passing system, handing the ball off, a lot of shotgun looks, a lot of options out of the shotgun where Darnold can really just go through his progressions quickly, just like he was doing at USC. Here's the thing. Here's my only question with that. Was that Washington's system, or was the play caller, was the entire offense handicapped because Kyle Allen doesn't really throw the ball deep, because Alex Smith doesn't really throw the ball deep, because Haskins can't get to his progressions? Was this a dummy down offensive system that was being ran to Washington last year? Because essentially it was like handoffs and checkdowns, short passing, right? Just 3-step drop balls out kind of thing. It was almost just like quarterbacks knew they were going to check the ball down before the ball was even snapped, which is good. I mean, that's kind of like Alex Smith's MO his whole career, was just like, you know, he'll take the gain of 3 as opposed to, you know, taking a one-on-one shot down the sidelines, trying to hit a guy 60 yards in stride. That's not Darnold's game at all either. So if you're looking at last year's offense, Darnold can run that system really, really well. But how was Washington's coaching staff reacting to that? Were they going in every game pissed because they can't throw the ball vertically? Or was that what they wanted to do all along? So an interesting discussion. I'll leave it there. Maybe some football team fans can let me know down below in the comment section. Would you like Sam Darnold? Would you stay away? I've talked to a couple Bears fans. They're like, absolutely not. We don't want any part of him. But I've talked, and then it was funny because I was talking to Colts fans before the Wentz trade, and they're like, yes, please give us Sam Darnold. Like, we want him. We can, you know, coach him well, and he would blossom essentially in Indianapolis. So I'll leave it there. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, go Jets.